Good afternoon, everyone. It is 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll give a couple more minutes so people could join, 1 or 2 more minutes, and then we'll get started with the USDOT Mid-South Atlantic Small Business Transportation Resource Center WITI Women in Transportation webinar. We're waiting for more people to join. Thank you, everyone, for being very prompt and on time. More people are joining. Thank you for logging in. It is 1:01. One more minute, it will be started. Right now, we have 24 people logged in. We did have a large registration of 93, but you know, all that. So we will get started now. It's 1:02. Good afternoon. I'm Beth Barner, Project Director of the USDOT Mid-South Atlantic Small Business Transportation Resource Center. Today's webinar is on Women and Girls in Transportation Initiative, WITI. And in honor of Women History Month, WITI Women in Transportation webinar. We have Ms. Kimberly King, EEO Director at the Georgia Department of Transportation, Ms. Marlo Clowers, P3 Manager, Program Manager at the Georgia Department of Transportation. Our agenda this afternoon, myself, Beth Barner, doing the welcome and the overview. Joanna Hemstetter, Abundant Education Program Manager, will introduce the panelists. We'll have a panel discussion, questions and answers, and survey. Then the closing. Let's get started. The Women and Girls in Transportation Initiative, WITI, the history is, it was established in March 2009 by President Barack Obama. He signed an executive order establishing the White House Council of Women and Girls Initiative at Spelman College. And in support of the initiative, 2009 United States Secretary of Transportation Ray LaHood announced the pilot entrepreneurial training and technical assistance Women and Girls program. And in 2012, the program was changed in order to reflect the inclusion of broader focus areas such as private partnerships and business development training and resources. WITI's mission is to increase the participation of women in the transportation industry and prepare young women to become our nation's future leaders. This is done by creating ladders of opportunity and small businesses' economic competitiveness through careers, internship, strategic partnership, and education. Our efforts are to encourage, educate, expose, and inform women of the opportunities and resources available in the transportation industry. Goal: identify, educate, attract, and retain women and girls in the transportation industry. And the program includes outreach, partnerships, business development training, the WITI Advisory Committee, which Ms. Kimberly King is on our advisory committee, and transportation internship resources. Okay.
Okay, so the first one I'll introduce is Ms. Kimberly King. She is the Equal Employment Opportunity Director.
You're muted, Joanna.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, Kimberly King is the Equal Employment Opportunity Director for the Georgia Department of Transportation. Since joining the department in December 2012, Kimberly has worked hard to brand the EEO division as a professional, knowledgeable, and responsive unit to the agency. Tasked with oversight for all aspects of the agency's civil rights function, it has been an important part of Kimberly's mission to ensure that EEO and civil rights consideration maintain a seat at the table in terms of the overall agency function. DBE, under Kimberly's leadership, has become a vital program with significant and consistent engagement throughout the agency. Both professional services and construction firms are considered and assisted in the program and are identified for participation opportunities. An attorney by trade, Kimberly has more than 20 years of experience in the practice areas of employment law, labor relations, collective bargaining, and appellate practice. I give you Kimberly King as our first panelist, and now I'll introduce Marlo Flowers. Marlo is a program manager in the P3 division of the Georgia Department of Transportation. She is experienced with alternative delivery methods, including design build finance, public-private partnerships, and CMGC. Marlo serves as the project principal for Transform 285-400, which is rebuilding the interchange of I-285 and SR 400 in Sandy Springs, Georgia. Marlo has a Bachelor of Civil Engineering from the Georgia Institute of Technology and is Georgia Registered Professional Engineer, a certified design build professional, and project management professional. Marlo is a native of Atlanta and resides in Fairville, Georgia. Woo! Thank you for our panelists. Yay!
Okay. Any questions you guys have, it could be typed in the questions and answer section. Or do I see it?
I would like to say that I've had the privilege of working with Kimberly since the beginning of this organization, and I can attest to everything she's tried to do, and I've witnessed the development of the transportation industry. What a lot of people don't know is that the transportation industry is very wide and vast, because not only is it just about transportation, you still have admin, you have marketing, you have all kinds of aspects of transportation related things that go on behind the scenes, just like our job is transportation related, because what we do helps the transportation related fields that come across our table. And we've seen when we work with our people to help get people, you know, the right information they need for projects and for bonding and for any kind of information. Our BEP is vast. We go from everywhere from access to capital to marketing to bonding, and then we find projects. We also do that as well. So, And Kimberly King, and I can't speak for you, Marlo, so I'll let you speak for yourself. I haven't worked with you yet, but I look forward to it.
Okay, we'll start with the first question. Guys, just jump in. How did your career start in the transportation industry?
Marlo, I will leave the first question for you.
All right. Well, thank you, Kimberly, and thank you, Beth and Joanna, for inviting me to participate in this panel discussion. So my career in transportation industry started as Beth mentioned in my bio that I attended the Georgia Institute of Technology. And as a freshman there, my original major was materials engineering. I really didn't know a lot about that, but I picked it. And it was a branch of chemical engineering. Well, when I got into my coursework, I realized that was not for me. It was too much organic chemistry. So I wanted something more practical. And civil engineering seemed a better fit for me, and specifically transportation. So as a student, I wanted to get more work experience in civil engineering and transportation. So I attended career fairs. I had heard from some of my classmates who had worked for GDOT that it was a good place to intern in the summer. And so I applied for as an intern at GDOT. I was selected, and I have been here ever since. I started in the roadway, it used to be an office called Road Design. It doesn't exist anymore. And then I moved to the Office of Urban Design, doesn't exist anymore. Both of those offices are now the Office of Roadway Design. And so that's where I started my career. And then I moved into project management. And in that arena, I moved into the P3 and design build type project management. And so that's how I started my career in the transportation industry.
Hey, Ms. Kimberly?
Sure. So I came to GDOT by way of municipal government. And so I actually worked with then Congressman LaHood on the creation of a women and minority business enterprise program in my hometown of Peoria, Illinois, which is also his hometown. And so he had earmarked funds for a significant interstate improvement, Interstate 74, in Peoria that, sort of goes through Illinois and Indiana and on that way. And so we wanted to have a program, and I was tasked with creating a program. Worked with Bradley University to institute a disparity study to determine how to go about the program's creation, and had a lot of very interesting introductory and research work with the university about what that meant and how that would look, and actually met folk from the city of Atlanta's Equal Business Opportunity Program that talked to us about what they were doing with minority and women business enterprise. So it sort of was a precursor to my arrival in Atlanta, but I didn't know it at the time. This was in the very early 2000s. And so when I came to the Georgia Department of Transportation, I think part of my resume, certainly the legal background was there in terms of interpreting the laws and regulations that we must abide by as a disadvantaged business enterprise program. But I certainly think that my work with Congressman LaHood on the creation of the program really helped to inform how the agency's DBE program would continue to work. And thank you very much, Joanna, for your very kind comments. We certainly have worked hard at expanding the breadth and the depth of our DBE program. GDOT was doing a really, really great job of construction engagement. But professional services engagement was a less sort of robust area of oversight for us. And so we really have tasked our team and our what we refer to as supportive services providers with spending more time and giving more attention to that area. So for me, coming to transportation was sort of of a easy transition because I had done some of that work at the municipal level. There are certainly some differences between how state government operates and how we operate with a federally funded USDOT program, but the expectations for engagement, for inclusion, for those civil rights considerations are certainly very much the same. And so I feel like going from the municipal sector to here in state government was a pretty easy transition for me, and I have enjoyed the work that we're doing here at GDOT.
Okay. You mentioned, Ms. Marlowe, that you went to Georgia Tech. And the next question is, what educational path and training did you follow to embark upon the role? You spoke of it briefly. What skills and transferable skills are valuable for the industry, for women looking to get into this industry?
Thank you, Beth. Yes, I did attend Georgia Tech and majored in civil engineering. And as I mentioned, started as a summer intern at GDOT. And I, start with a little bit of a story to answer your question. So the summer that I started with GDOT, I was assigned to District 7 construction. And I was a little bit disappointed because that was not my particular area of interest. That summer there was probably maybe 50 interns that reported to work that day, and we were all assembled in the District 7 big conference room, and the district engineer came in and said they had one position that was in the design squads, and if anyone was interested to raise your hand. So of course I raised my hand, me and 3 others, and what they said they would do would give us a little bit of an interview, and then after lunch, they would tell us, who they had selected. So in the interview, the design squad leader showed me a set of plans. They asked me some technical questions about what was on the plans to see, what I knew. They showed me the computer software that GDOT was using at the time for CAD and for design, and they asked me if I had used it. So relating to transferable skills, I told them that I had not used any of the software that they had shown me before, but I told them that what I had used in my coursework, and I told them, I explained that I believed that I could easily learn the software that GDOT had, that they were using, because the fundamentals of the way the programs operated were the same. And so, long story short, after the interview, I was the one intern that was selected to go to District 7 design that summer. That's sort of a little story about transferable skills, but I believe in the transportation industry and project management, like I am doing, some essential transferable skills are problem solving, being able to think through problems and work through solutions, being comfortable with working with teams of people with various specialties and skill sets, organizational skills, and being able to effectively communicate with internal and external stakeholders.
Great. Ms. Kimberly?
So again, you had the bio that sort of gave you a little bit about my background. I am a lawyer by trade, so my education, from undergrad to law school was really about lawyering. That's what I was learning to do. That's what I was trained to do, and I thought that was really all I would probably do. And once you are a lawyer, it's hard not to sort of overlay everything you do with that mindset. But for me coming here, obviously that skill was very, very useful because there's lots of federal regulation by which we must abide as recipients of federal funds. And so knowing and understanding those regulations, being able to apply those regulations obviously is a very necessary skill, and it certainly has been useful to me in this role. But the great thing I think about GDOT is that there are so many units of the agency that aren't what you immediately think of as transportation specific, right? We have human resources, we have a legal department, we have signage, we have billboards, we have outdoor advertisement, we have all of these other areas, communications, that don't feel like they're transportation specific, but obviously being here at this agency, what we do lends itself to furtherance of transportation considerations. But I've been on a couple of job fairs with our human resources team, and I learned about some of the areas of work that GDOT has, and GDOT hires scuba divers. And I'm thinking, wait, what? You can be a scuba diver and work for GDOT? Yes. Why? Because, part of the transportation system obviously is bridges. Some of those bridge piles are underwater. So you've got to have folk, down there to take a look at them. I had no idea. We hire architects at GDOT, or I'm sorry, archaeologists at GDOT. So, when I was a kid, that really was what I thought I wanted to do. I was fascinated with Egyptian history, and I really wanted to, be out in the Valley of the Kings, and I wanted to be, digging up pyramids, and I just really thought that would be so fascinating. But I found that those folk work here at GDOT. We have archaeologists who are responsible, for doing really significant research and, on site to review of those project areas where some historical find has been happened. Sometimes it's about Native American history. Sometimes it's about American history in terms of, a plantation where there is a slave burial ground and there is, a need to excavate and explore and research the area. So, to say that GDOT is about transportation, yes, but that really doesn't tell you the whole story of all that can happen here in terms of career trajectory. So, I would say that, to Marlo's point, you bring those foundational skills of communication and problem solving and teamwork, and then you find that niche that is of most interest to you. And here at the Georgia Department of Transportation, that really can be almost anything.
Okay. What challenges for women do you see or have seen in transportation industry?
Well, I guess I'll start, Beth. I attended a webinar a couple of weeks ago that was hosted by WTS, and it was focused on women in the freight industry part of transportation. The truckers and, that type of. And I was really surprised to hear that in 2025, the women truck drivers regularly experience issues with getting access to clean and safe bathroom facilities. That was shocking to me. I didn't think, in this day and time, that was still an issue, that there would be there would be facilities for both men and women wherever they stop. So that's a significant challenge to women in the freight part of the transportation industry that I was just made aware of, that we need to talk more about so it can be improved. I think just generally, transportation is, historically more male-centered. And I think, unfortunately, there's still a little bit of unconscious bias that women have to overcome when they are in an industry where they are not historically the majority. And so I believe it's important to be thorough in the technical aspects of your job, whatever that is in the transportation industry, and to be clear and concise in your communication.
Ms. Kimberly, I think about when I see the female workers on the bridges and the side of the road, I think of that program we had a couple of years ago with re-entering the workforce with the collaboration with Goodwill, right?
That is
And,
correct.
Mhm.
So, to Marlo's point, transportation, I think still is a largely male-dominated environment. But as I indicated here at GDOT, there are any number of areas of opportunity available. And I think the distinction that might make a difference for us and perhaps for departments of transportation around the country is that we really do recognize the need to be inviting, to be open, to be supportive of females in the transportation space. And so we make sure that we participate in programs that will introduce us and allow us to then introduce GDOT and its operation to females that may have an interest in this space. As you indicated, Beth, we have a Women in Transportation program that we do with the Goodwill of North Georgia. And the objective there is to identify, train, and then place women who are perhaps unemployed or underemployed, really looking to advance a career in the construction trades, and specifically to construction in transportation. So those women are being trained on heavy equipment operation. They're being trained on surveying. They're being trained on reading plans. They're being trained on certain IT aspects of work so that they, can perhaps work in an office, don't have to be outside in the elements, though many of the women are more interested in those sort of boots on the ground trade opportunities. But that program has been ongoing for some time through our USDOT relationship. We have that on-the-job training program that really does focus on finding placement for women in construction. We have this relationship with the Mid-South Atlantic SBTRC, where we talk to young women who may have an interest in transportation. We have what's called the National Summer Transportation Institutes that also allow us, again, funded through USDOT, that also allows us to speak to get to know, to offer opportunity to learn more about careers in transportation for young people generally, but certainly young women are included in that group of students from 8th grade to seniors in high school. We had been doing that here in Atlanta at Clark Atlanta University and at Albany State University. When COVID hit, we were unable to create the kind of virtual program that USDOT wanted us to create with Clark Atlanta. Albany did create such a program and has been utilizing that program tool certainly for the past 5 years, though we are back in person on campus. But it is a 6-week on-site program where these young people are learning about transportation careers from transportation professionals. And so, GDOT really is cognizant of its role as a leader in the transportation sector and is constantly thinking of ways to engage young women and female professionals to convince them, to persuade them that GDOT is a great place to work.
As with you guys doing a certification for business with DBEs and things of that nature, how do you see an increase with women entrepreneurs? What's that data like?
Absolutely. I think again, we are sort of conscientiously thinking about how we can identify women. So we're going to meetings of women in construction. We're going to the Atlanta Business League's, female entrepreneur committee workshops. We are appearing at places where we know female business owners are going to be so that we can talk to them about the DBE program, about its benefits, about how their membership in the program can certainly help them to grow and develop their business, about the access that can be provided to their firm by becoming DBE certified through the Georgia Department of Transportation's program. So again, just being open and forward thinking about where we can find those women, where those women entrepreneurs are, and let them know about the DBE program. In fact, when we are reporting to our federal operating administration, that being the Federal Highway Administration, Federal Transit, or Federal Aviation, they want to know very specifically how those federal dollars are being spent with women-owned businesses. So there is a very specific field in our report document for how much of that money is being spent with women. And so the Federal Operating Administration is also aware that women are a part of our program, and they want to know that a fair expenditure of those monies is being provided to those female business owners. And so we are tracking those dollars. We are tracking those business types. We are tracking where geographically those businesses are found. They continue to be largely in the metro Atlanta area, in Henry County, in Douglas County, Fulton, DeKalb, Gwinnett, and Cobb County. That is where the largest percentage of those women-owned businesses are, but they exist all over the state. We were in Augusta yesterday, and I was very, very pleased to see that probably half of the room were women-owned businesses that were based there in the Augusta area in their MSA, but certainly had a willingness to travel around the state to do business. So women are doing business in Georgia. They're doing great business in Georgia, and GDOT is certainly doing business with those female entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
Marlo, as a woman in the engineering field, I know it's still a male-dominated field, but when you see young Black women in the STEM program, what is your 10-minute speech, elevator speech, to get them interested in maybe going further into that field?
Well, it's always, it does my heart good to see young women being interested in the STEM fields. I let them know that, it's challenging, the coursework is very challenging, but if you're committed to it, you can complete whatever is in your mind to do. And that in the field, it may look a lot like your classrooms where there are less women than men, but just to make sure that you stay up on the latest aspects of your profession, that you continue to learn always, and that you will do well if that is where your interest lies.
What advice would you to give for young women for entering this industry?
I'd say Marlo just gave some really good advice. And again, I can't, repeat enough those foundational elements that she talked about in her own experience with GDOT. She was competing against other, engineering students who had, probably a similar, maybe not the same, because Marlo is brilliant and capable, but maybe some of these folk were, similarly situated in terms of their educational tract and their major. But, in saying to the interviewer at GDOT that even though she hadn't used the same software programs, she believed that those that she had used in her coursework were, similar enough that she could easily learn what they were utilizing here at GDOT. So she showed herself to be someone who was confident in herself and her abilities. I think in having that conversation, I think she, in saying that they weren't the same, she was being clear and honest in talking about her capabilities, which I think people always appreciate. that you are, not overselling, but you are certainly confident in what you are capable of doing, and to say, I can learn what you do. And the fact that I'm doing this already demonstrates that I can learn what you do. So, to young women who have an interest in transportation or any field for that matter, that continues to be somewhat male dominated, I would say be confident in yourself and your ability. You know what you know. You know what you bring to the table. Be sincere, be honest, talk about yourself. Don't be afraid to talk about yourself and your experience. I think it is, such a wonderful thing to have an opportunity to have different voices, different experiences, different perspectives at the table, in the room. I know what I know, and I feel like I know what I know very well, but I don't know everything about everything. And so having other people in the room that have a different set of experiences, a different level of education, a different background from mine, can inform, what I am hearing, what I am learning, what I am seeing, and the collective then, is able to develop something more and different than I would be able to do by myself. So, to those young women, I would say be bold, be confident, be honest, and don't be afraid to market yourself and your own greatness, because we all have it. We just have to not be afraid to talk about it.
In the past, one time you had spoken about I think it was an intern with the communication, and you explained how GDOT still needed those people because of the videotaping and different pictures they're taking and everything. Found on that a little bit.
Sure. I will. Marlo mentioned it. She came to GDOT as an intern. So, we have I think a great intern program, and the interns come from everywhere. They come from some of our HBCUs here in the state. They come from some of the major institutions in the state. Georgia Tech, obviously, we have lots of folks from Georgia Tech. There is a healthy competition with folk from the University of Georgia and folks from Georgia Southern, where our commissioner went to college. So he makes sure that Georgia Southern is always in the mix. But our program, I think, is fantastic in that those interns get, usually each department, each unit of the agency, maybe I should say, can have 2 interns for the summer. And they work from May until August. And help me, Marlo, if I misspeak, but I think they are paid, an hourly wage of, between $20 and $25 an hour.
Yeah.
So it is certainly a good wage that they're making during the summer. They are considered part-time employees, so they don't work a full 40-hour week, but they are immersed in the work of the unit where they are assigned. So we have 2 interns every year here in EEO. They do lots of review of DBE certification files. They are looking at some of our Title VI responsibility. They're looking at some of our ADA complaints, so that they get sort of a full picture of the whole of the civil rights activity that happens here in the office. Obviously, there are confidentiality considerations that we must be cognizant of, and so they can't get into every aspect of every part of the work that we do, but certainly we provide them, I think, a great overview of the civil rights function that happens here in EEO for the Georgia Department of Transportation. And they are here for the entirety of the summer from late May to August, I think. But again, every unit has 2 interns, and those interns are absolutely immersed in the work activity of the unit. Marlo certainly can talk more about what they do in P3. But I think that, obviously I have some bias because I am a GDOT employee, but I just think it's a really great program, and that the students really do get a great opportunity to learn about the agency.
I would definitely agree with that, Kimberly. It is a great program. Whatever unit the summer interns are assigned to, they get a full view of what that particular unit does. Just thinking back long ago from when I was a summer intern, I got to do some of everything. You know, they let me do some alignments, they let me cut some cross sections, figure some quantities, do some drainage. I had a sample of everything so that, you know, if I chose, which I did choose, a path with GDOT for a career, that I would know what to expect in that particular area.
And obviously, you know, that real life experience, you know, real experience. They're not just pushing paper around and filing things alphabetically. They are actually doing the work that you know, GDOT employees in that unit of their assignment are doing. So they're sitting side by side with those longtime GDOT employees, or sometimes very new GDOT employees, but they're doing the work, which obviously lends itself to building their resumes. If they have an interest in coming to work for GDOT, again, Marlo, you know, can be a poster child. You can go from intern to full-time employee because you now have the experience, you know the language, you know, you have built relationships, you've shown yourself to be capable and willing and able. And so again, if you have an interest in GDOT, and I won't say transportation, because I think if I say transportation, I limit, you know, sort of what people think of as the agency's capacity. But I think if you have an interest, you know, that internship certainly is a point of entry for you to a career at the Georgia Department of Transportation.
I'm gonna speak from my point of view. I accidentally fell into the transportation industry. I had no intentions of being in the transportation industry, but lo and behold, through workforce development, I ended up here. And I came in the beginning of the WITI program. So along with the interns, I was also learning the industry that I'm in now, and growing with the program itself. So I think there's a lot of interesting ways to enter the transportation industry. And some of you may already be in it and not even realize that you were in it, because I had no idea that I would be this far into the transportation industry, to the point where I'm now talking with state DOTs in our region, and being able to talk about projects and contracts and stuff for DBEs. And it's interesting because it's like a bug. You kind of get bit with it once you get into it and learning the terminology, and because there's a lot of terminology and alphabets that you have to learn. And if you really get involved in it, it can be very rewarding. And that's kind of how I felt about the transportation industry, because I had no idea that I would end up here. This was not my end all be all goal in life. To be honest, when I moved here from Louisiana as part of the Katrina crew, I was actually a casino dealer at the time. I have a business degree, but I had never used it. So to be given an opportunity of that magnitude meant the world to me, coming from a place where I had no idea where I was going, you know, to look forward to. So transportation, you could be bit by the bug. It can happen. Some people just fall into it, and you end up there for an eternity. So
We have a couple of advisory committee, the WITI advisory committee members online. They're muted. We have Paula Nash over at MARTA, if she would like to speak, and Mr. Greg Davis, South Carolina Department of Transportation. If they could speak on their experience, women in transportation. Miss Paula?
Hello. I'm sorry, I'm having an issue with my camera right
No
now,
problem.
but I'm Paula Nash. I am with I'm with MARTA. I am the Assistant General Manager of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. At MARTA, we do DBE certifications along with GDOT. So of course, we welcome all the women-owned business as well as minority businesses that would qualify as a DBE to come and apply for DBE certifications. If you're in Fulton, DeKalb, Clayton, or City of Atlanta, that's the area that we certify. And of course, at MARTA, we have a whole lot going on. We have a lot of capital program projects that are going on. And so all the DBE firms, we always invite you to please go to our website, look under our procurement page, and it tells you the upcoming projects and procurements that we have going on with MARTA, everything from different types of station rehabs to janitorial services. So we're inviting all DBEs and small businesses to come and take a look at what we do, and please consider doing business with MARTA. Thank you.
Great. Mr. Greg Davis, would you like to speak? South Carolina DOT.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity. Like my colleague, Ms. Kimberly King, we offer the same types of training here at SCDOT. Frankly, we're excited about women in transportation. Many of our senior leadership are made of women. So again, we have a real robust program encouraging women to be all parts of the agency itself. And there's not a lot I can add to what Ms. Kimberly King has shared, but I could just say ditto for the state of South Carolina.
And we have Ms. Fania Didi DeMarks. Are you available to speak? She may not be. Okay. We have 3 questions. And one question is, what programs are available for business development and what types of businesses that are generally accepted?
So, part of the work that we are tasked with doing, again, I keep mentioning our federal operating administration, we have a DBE program because the agency, the Georgia Department of Transportation, is the recipient of federal funds from the United States Department of Transportation. Those funds come from the Federal Highway Administration, the Federal Transit Administration, the Federal Aviation Administration. So those are the monies used to do the work activity that you see happening around the state. And part of the task that comes to us as recipients of those funds is to have a business development program. So an aspect of our DBE program is a business development piece. We rely on our supportive services consultant team to assist us in that business development piece. And that can be our construction specific businesses, that can be our professional services firms. Those firms are in marketing, those firms are in heavy equipment, they are in concrete, they are in paving, they are in resurfacing, they are in marketing, they are in communications, they are in engineering. We are responsible, again, according to our federal operating administration, for helping those firms grow and develop their business, to find opportunities in the federally funded space for those business types. So we're helping those businesses with everything from the creation of a business plan to a capability statement to meeting and engaging with prime contractors that the agency does business with to helping them find opportunities in the state of Georgia generally. We are absolutely aware of and compliant with our responsibility to help those businesses grow. And we do that by assessing the needs of those businesses and then being responsive to those businesses' needs. It's the difference for us between responding and being responsive. And being responsive means really getting to know those businesses as the individual firms that they are, assessing their needs uniquely and individually, and then being responsive to those needs in terms of providing those firms with the support and assistance they need to develop their firms, be that a mentor-protege relationship, be that getting them in a room with a prime contractor, be that helping them to do some of their back office accounting work. Again, whatever that is in terms of that development need, we are ready, willing, and able to be responsive to that need. And so, you know, we are aware that we have that business development responsibility, and that's how we go about meeting that responsibility.
There is another question from Miss Laura Gimpelson of PE. Do you work with Middle Tennessee State University's construction management program with its concentrations on road construction? The Stephanie Starlings is the director over the DBE program in Tennessee. The office. Jessica, yes, Jessica Starling. And I will make sure I will email you her information regarding. I do know they have had interns from Middle Tennessee State and Tennessee State, but I will forward your email, Miss Jessica's contact information. And next question, are there any opportunities to assist DBEs with obtaining surety bonds? And yes, we have a abundant education program with the MSA SBTRC with Miss Joanna Hemstetter is the manager of that with us, that we do help entrepreneurs increasing their capacity by getting and acquiring or increasing their surety bond, because with the USDOT transportation construction contracts, they require they have a performance bond. And Miss Joanna could speak more on that.
Actually, the bonding education program is geared specifically for that, and with our partnership with SBA, we have a couple of options to provide those looking to get bond or increase bonding through our program. Feel free to email me and I can talk to you further about that. I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay.
And I would say, Beth, you know, our supportive services providers are often doing those same things in terms of providing access to information for our DBEs, our small businesses, our veteran-owned firms with regard to bonding assistance. So, you know, those are actually having those companies in the room that can review an application, that can talk to the firms about their bondability, that can talk to the firms about, you know, their credit and their access to various types of capital for growth and business development. We try to be very, very practical is the term that we use in terms of how we engage DBEs and small businesses about bonding. We're not talking about bonding in an academic sense. We're talking about bonding in a very practical sense about how you can go about getting a bond and what you need to do to make sure that your firm is prepared to secure the necessary bonding to do a GDOT federally funded project.
Another question is from Ms. Shanika. Hello, all. I have recently obtained my DBE certification, and I am not sure how to use it. What advice would you give me regarding usage of the DBE certification?
Big question.
Well, I would first say to you, Shanika,
Yes.
Congratulations on securing your DBE certification. It is a milestone for your business, because it really does. I keep using the term access because I think that certification provides you a significant level of access to information, to opportunities as it relates to business growth, engagement, and development. So congratulations, I would say to you first. But know that your DBE certification is about identity. Shanika, it is about saying that you are who you say you are in terms of the 51% ownership of your business being held by an ethnic minority or female. It is not, however, the beginning and the end of doing business with the Georgia Department of Transportation. Once your business is certified, you then need to be about the business of securing either your registration as a construction subcontractor or prime contractor, or your area class code, so your pre-qualification with the agency as a consultant on the professional services side. So those areas, registration or pre-qualification, measure your capacity, your firm's ability to credibly demonstrate that it can do the kind of work anticipated by a GDOT contract. So you must be either registered or pre-qualified in order to actually do business with the agency. So your certification is a great resource for you, but it is not the beginning and the end of doing business with the agency. So I would say to you that we probably need to get you in touch with our supportive services provider so that you can say exactly that. I am certified, now what? How do I go about leveraging that certification? How does that certification provide me entree to opportunities? What kind of engagement can I expect now that I have this certification? Where else might I be looking for opportunities? All of those questions, and questions perhaps that I haven't thought of, can be answered by those supportive services team members. So please contact me. Let me know how I can help you in terms of getting you in touch with those supportive services folk, because they are a wonderful resource to you and your business.
I know I came to the GDOT meeting regarding goals, DBE goals. One person had a question regarding what is happening with the DBE changes for 23 states with the DBE goals.
So there are a couple of things that the question might be referring to. So in terms of certain states, there have been lawsuits filed against the DBE program, saying that the program itself is constitutionally unsound, that the program considers race, considers ethnicity in terms of participation, and that in and of itself is discriminatory and ought not to exist where federal funds are involved. So what that lawsuit said is that if you have a project that contains federal funds, there ought not to be a goal attached to that project. So the court, the federal district court has determined that if the firms who filed the lawsuit have a ability and interest in submitting proposal on a project that is federally funded and has a DBE goal attached to it, the state DOT that houses that project must remove the goal from that project if one of those two firms, one of them is a milling company and one is a trucking company, I believe, if they have submitted proposal on that project, then the DBE goal has to be removed. I believe that we've had 3 projects in here at GDOT, resurfacing projects largely, that have had a goal removed in response to the lawsuit. So if that's what you're referring to, there is a very specific impact to GDOT and to those other state DOTs that may be engaged with those 2 plaintiffs. As it relates to the overall DBE program, we continue to have a program. We continue to administer that program in support of and in compliance with our federal operating administrations, that being 49 CFR, Part 26 and Part 23, that speak to not only DBE, but ACDBE, Airport Concessionaire DBE as well. And so we continue to have a program. We continue to administer that program until we receive some instruction to the contrary. Our commissioner, Russell McMurray, has said that he is supportive of our program. He knows and understands the impact that the program has in and around the state, how it has positively affected small businesses. And he is absolutely standing in front of and behind us and to the left and the right of us here in EEO in support of our DBE program. So until we receive some instruction to the contrary, we continue to administer our program in compliance with the federal regulations.
Thank you very much. We appreciate Ms. King and Clowers joining us today. I put my contact information in the chat. Anyone can email me and get more detail. If you have more questions, feel free to email me, and I will also give you Ms. Marlo Clowers and Ms. Kimberly King contact information. It's in chat already. And
I think Shanika I suggested that she contact me about our supportive services engagement. So I wanted to make sure I gave her that contact information.
Okay. Well, we greatly appreciate everyone for joining us. We have a survey at the end. We greatly appreciate if you were complete it and give us feedback so that we'll have a great session again next time, and some topics that you would like for us to cover. And thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
You.
Okay.
Beth, do you need us?
No, thank you. You guys can leave. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, let me mute myself.